All right. And okay. So that's all live. That is recording. Are you ready, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's do this.
Coming to you live from Fayetteville, Arkansas, in the beautiful Appleby Business Center studios. It's time for Northwest Arkansas Business Radio with Adam Robison.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Adam Robison, and you have once again landed on Northwest Arkansas Business Radio. It's a wonder to see you. This is the first time we've had video in our podcast studio, and we pulled out a really great-looking individual to be here to share the picture frame with me. I'm really excited to have my friend Larry Ropp with Larry Ropp and Associates here this morning. Larry, welcome to Northwest Arkansas Business Radio. Just say hello to our audience and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, there's a lot to tell. Being 81 years old, make it a long
This is a
time.
30-minute podcast, Larry. So,
Well, anyway, born and raised on a farm in northern Illinois, and that's where I lived for 63 years before we moved down here to Arkansas. But that's where I learned a lot about, of course, agriculture, because my father was highly involved in that. He'd been doing that all his life. But though working with a lot of people in the community and with my parents, I learned a lot about people and about helping people. So that's kind of what started my whole thing as far as in the businesses that I'm in. Because when I graduated from college, it came out, and I talked to some people at a meeting that were totally fixed on their income at 60 years of age, and I thought, I never want to do that.
now that's interesting because that's what some people would call comfortable. Hey, I have a fixed income at 60 and I'm going to have this amount of money each month for the rest of my life. You saw that as something you just weren't into at all.
No, because they said that they weren't going to have enough money to do this and or that. And I'm going, nope, don't want to do that. My goals are set to, let's do more than that. And at that time, I was farming with my dad, but my first wife, she was involved in Amway, and I didn't know what that was. She got all these little products, and so I thought, okay. But I did learn something from them because they had some information, and one of them was residual income. And I'm going, wait a minute, I want to know what that is. And that was, for income to continue to be with you. And I thought, okay, I want to know more about that. And I wasn't really convinced that Amway was the way I should go. But then I started looking at some other things, and a fraternity brother said he was in Shackley and he just moved into our area, so we took off with that, and okay, so that was a pretty good deal. And then a few years after that, I stayed with it, but then when there was a phone deal coming out at that time, and you got to realize that was back in the 70s, and cell phones and all that stuff hadn't come out yet, but you could market a product for that, so I thought, okay. And then the big thing was, the two things I did so much was recruit people to do what I was doing, and I would get a piece of that action. And that was a big part of what was going on. And then I done 10 years, I had a real estate business, and thought, well, that was all right, because at the age of 47, I was willing to, this looks pretty good. Things are getting better and better. But then those were the best things. But then when I saw Legal Shield, I thought, what's that going to be like? And then I tried to run down who the businesses were. And this is multi-level marketing. And I thought, this can be done a lot better than I've done in the past. And so I decided, well, I'm going to get back into this and do it. And I had to run down a gentleman in Wayland, Iowa, county with only 15,000 people, and he had just started to do that, but I could see he was ignorance on fire. And because he didn't know anything about multi-level marketing, because he was in some businesses, and he thought, well, okay. And a friend that he went to work with, wanted him to come see what they could do. So that's how he started, but I got with him and things really started rolling out very, very nicely and has done so since then. And by, the legal shield thing, everybody's going to need an attorney. And we've come along with an identity theft product because Kroll Fraud Solutions, they always done it with businesses, and they made a product for identity theft prevention, and they didn't know how to market it. Mm-hmm. So they said, well, you guys over there in legal stuff, you market all the time. Would you want to help us in marketing that product? So we, yeah, sure, because if you got an identity theft problem, you're going to have a legal problem.
Sure. So let's talk about Legal Shield. We arrived there all in one trip, which is fine. What's going on in my head is I'm thinking, this is a man, 81 years in front of me. You've tried several different opportunities to make money and earn a living, and then somewhere middle age, you decided, hey, this Legal Shield bus is the bus that I'm riding. So talk to us about Legal Shield. How's it different from other legal service providers in the market?
Well, one of the main things is that people don't want to look at attorneys because they're intimidated by lawyers, and they don't know who to call when they get around to getting a lawyer if they have to, and they believe it's going to be costing too much. So as far as what Legal Shield does, we do it by the month or subscription prices. We don't charge $300 an hour. It's $29.95 is what we provide for people. And what that is, it's just, it's a solution for everyday problems. And what I mean by that, with Legal Shield, you have the opportunity to talk to an attorney 24/7, 365. Mm-hmm. And that's the big thing when people really start looking at it, because if it's only $29.95 a month for their whole family, and you can have up to 10 children. So, Adam, you can work on that.
I think I'm good. My wife and I have 5 between us. We're already outnumbered. I don't see a reason for it.
I was just trying to see if you wanted to double that.
No, that's all right.
With us.
Now, Larry, off camera, before we started recording this conversation, you said you really have just always had a desire to help people. Mm-hmm. How does Legal Shield tap into that? This seems, I've always known you as Larry Ropp, the Legal Shield guy, but you told me, man, I really like helping people. Do you feel like your Legal Shield work fulfills that?
Because what we start off sometimes with associates and with me is if you were my attorney, and the story is very effective in a way of getting others to think about what it really means to have access for lawyers for a low monthly rate. And that's a great way to open conversation and show people what we do. Because I simply ask them, if you could pick up the phone and ask a lawyer any personal legal question and know that you are not going to receive a bill afterward, would you call it? Well, that changes things in a hurry when they start looking at that, because they thought, well, wait a minute, I always paid $300 an hour, $200 an hour to have an attorney do whatever it is they need to be done. And this way, we have a laundry list of legal things that they can talk to the attorneys or have them do it for them. They can have all kinds of things done because we do document reviews, we do trial defense, we do letters and phone calls on our past, speeding tickets, not that you would get those.
Never.
And, those we have family and it takes care of the whole family and works on financial estate planning, and like I said, the traffic tickets. But we have what we call is a mobile app. So you've always heard of the mobile app. So what's that? So all you have to do is pick your phone up, your cell phone up, and just tap the app, and you will be able to call the attorneys, and they will ask you, and most of the attorneys, of course, are always busy, but in Legal Shield, they're going to call you back at least within the next 4 hours. And that's a big part of it. Now, you got a special time you want them to call you, we can line that up too, because they're going to call you back. because our attorneys are just waiting there in the Lyle Rutledge Law Firm on Sunset in Springdale is our law firm that takes care of our 20,000 clients in Arkansas.
Oh, wow.
And 20,000 clients is not much in most of the states, because Florida, California, Texas, New York, all have over 100,000 clients, or have over even probably more than that. But anyway, that's how it works. We have a provider firm in every state in the nation, in every province of Canada. So all these law firms are just sitting there waiting for you to call. Now with that, we only have 7 attorneys at in Springdale here at Lyle Rutledge, and they may not have the expertise of whatever it is you call in about, but we have roughly in Arkansas about 100 referral attorneys we can call at any time. If it's in Little Rock or Hope or wherever it happens to be in Arkansas, we can handle whatever they do, and it's still the same at $29.95. And just as an add-on, we'll have you, if you want to quit at any time, that's fine. People say, well, don't tell people that. I said, no, that's fair. And I don't have many people ever do that. I've had some people that have done it, and then all of a sudden, 3 or 4 or 5 months or a year later, I need those services again, because I had it come up. And finally, they send them out. Well, I just will keep it every time and every month, and then that's the way it goes. Mm-hmm. Now, the other thing on that is I have some people that had a $14.95 product, and they keep that. We don't raise the price on it. If they want to keep it, they keep it. We will add more things to it, and if they want to bump it up, fine. If they don't, that's fine.
So what you're saying is even if people were to buy a Legal Shield membership at $29.95, if they in 3 months raise that up to $59.95, we still have our $29.95 rate.
Yes.
So that's pretty good,
yeah.
Especially living in the day and age of inflation. It's nice to know that that's not going to go up.
Right, and we do one other thing here. When the pandemic came around, okay, let's help some people, and we policemen, firemen, nurses, but we'll in a group of those folks or that type of thing, we'll bring that down to $29.95. And so, that's what we're trying to do, and we figure it's, unlike other legal plans, I don't know if there's any, you don't have to, figure out which lawyer to use. We got them right here. And, we provide access to a dedicated law firm that's quality and help with your legal matters. And almost all of our attorneys are AV rated, which is a top rating for lawyers. And we won't put anybody else out there unless they do have that. So those are some things that we can really do to help the community. That's just how it is.
Okay. Well, I know that when we were talking before, I'd mentioned that I was having some trouble with some solar panels, and had I been a member of Legal Shield, I would have gotten an attorney a long time ago. Mm-hmm. I've known you for almost 6 months now as Larry Ropp, the Legal Shield guy, and this morning as we were talking, I just keep thinking about all the times I wish I would have had an attorney at hand, and so I'm even sitting here thinking, my goodness, this might be something I need to check out, just because as you do life, as long as we live in this world with other people, we're going to need people to sort out conflict, and that's going to mean lawyers and judges and all that good stuff. You're preaching a lot of the benefits of Legal Shield. Is there anything that perhaps some limitations to the coverage that is provided or exclusions to the legal services?
No, in our laundry list of services, we're trying to protect the people. Now, if there's something you do or you want to sue somebody, we can find you the proper attorney to do that, and it will cost you something to do that if you're suing something. Now, if somebody's suing you, that's a different story. We'll handle that. But on that, and there's a few other things, my wife and I have had services for 24 years. Only one time have we had to go out and do something else, and that was when we moved down here. She had an estate, and she had to change it when she moved into Arkansas. It was $1,000, but Legal Shield takes 25% of it off, so it was only $750. So those are things that we can do, even though